I want to welcome everybody to the community meeting for the proposed Toyota Santa Monica dealership, which is planned for the southwest corner of 16th and Santa Monica. Tonight, we will hear presentations from Mike Sullivan, who is the owner of Toyota Santa Monica, and the architectural team from Koning Eisenberg. That would be Hank Koning and Nathan Bishop. The Eisenberg part of it is being honored by the League of Women Voters tonight, so just want to observe that. As most of you know, the city's new policy requires applicants to host community meetings in accordance with city guidelines, and one of the guidelines is that the city meetings be televised or videotaped and then made available to the public on the City TV website. That website address is on your agendas, so you'll be able to see that. I'm not sure whether it's streamed eventually or whether it is a podcast, but either way you'll have access to it. What we'd like to do, just because of the logistics of this videotaping, is if we could get through the presentation portion of this and then hold questions and comments till the Q&A, because these microphones are here to capture the audio for the video. The little microphone on top of the video camera really doesn't capture remarks. We want to make sure that they are captured for the record. And so if you could just hold your questions and comments, we will be able to get them on videotape, and we'll pass the microphone. So I'd like to introduce Mike Sullivan, who is the owner of Toyota Santa Monica, and he will give us an overview of the project and the history of the project. Mike?
I'll speak into the microphone that's not working in here. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for all of you coming tonight. I've got as long to talk about, but I'm just going to kind of go through a little brief history of who I am and how I got here, and then really, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer anything rather than bore you with going to Santa Monica High School stories. But I am as local as it comes. I was born at St. John's, as were my children, who are all here, and they're 33, 31, and 29, so we're about as local as it gets. My dad came to Santa Monica when he was 3. I've been a car dealer for 36 years. It's all I've ever done in my professional career. I currently own in Santa Monica Volkswagen, Lexus, Toyota, and Fisker. Fisker's been an interesting one for the last 2 years. In Hollywood, I've got a Toyota Scion store, and down in the South Bay, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, and Subaru. So it's all I've done. I'm not a developer. I'm a local small-time car guy, and I'm not a developer. We're really excited. 15 years ago, I bought Toyota Santa Monica from the Sheridan family, and when I see them, I tease them. I don't think they spent a dime on it in the 50 years they owned it. So we've owned it for 15 years. It's if anybody here has a Toyota from Santa Monica, it's a tired facility. It's just, I can tell by the way you're nodding. It's a tired facility. We have a one-car showroom. It has long exceeded its usefulness as a Toyota dealership. So Toyota, as you can imagine, is putting a great deal of pressure on me to build something appropriate. I hope when you walk through Lexus, you'll see what I consider appropriate. And also, the city has been working with us for years. They have a vision of what car dealerships should look like. It's ironic, I think, a little bit. They've gone back a little bit to how car dealerships used to look, with the showroom out on the boulevard and all the parking and stuff in the back. So we'd be building what the city would think of as their urban design. It's what they're pushing and the most pleased about. And I've picked a special project in a special building. It'll be a Gold LEED certified dealership that just finished an Audi store. It's the largest Audi store in the nation in Hawthorne, on Hawthorne Boulevard in Torrance. It's also Gold LEED certified. I'm building a Toyota store in Hollywood that's Gold LEED certified. Been very involved in the city of Santa Monica for my whole career. And specifically, my biggest passions are the environment. I'm on the board of directors for Heal the Bay, Global Green, Environmental Media Associations. My daughter Megan is on with Sustainable Works. We're very active in the community in building green stores, We have a whole education program that we put on for my 700 employees. I have a manager of the environment, and she goes out and goes to schools and brings back information and trains all of us to be more contemporary. I live and drive off the grid. My house in Manhattan Beach is solar paneled, and I live off the grid. And my Fisker, I get about 100 miles per gallon on that. So I drive about 98% off. I don't use any gas. So kind of fun. It's a very genuine passion of mine, and this store would fit naturally right into what else we do. It would be a very much a self-contained unit. Toyota Santa Monica is exceptionally crowded right now on Lincoln Boulevard, so we would leave parts and service down there and bring the new car and used car showroom up across the street. So the beach is over here on this. This is where you are right now at Lexus Santa Monica. Those of you that parked back in the valet parking are here. My used car lot is directly across the street, and then just to the east is this 1 acre site that I bought 8 or 9 months ago. It was been a car dealership for years. It was most recently the Nissan store, so there's no big change of zoning or anything, and it'll be, I think, a dramatically nicer facility, operation, neighbor than what we're doing currently. So I'm excited about doing it. Candidly, it's a ton of money. The property in Santa Monica is good news, bad news. The property in Santa Monica is astronomically expensive. This building is going to be expensive. Then I'm going to go ahead and spend more and make it LEED certified. We're going to make it a very interesting design. My friend Hank is going to visit with you in a minute about that. But it's going to be a very exciting project. But very candidly, I'm having a little time. I've had a couple sleepless nights on it. It's going to be it's not a small project. So I think I'll go ahead and segue over to my friend Hank. Hank and Julie Eisenberg, Hank Coney and Julie, have lived in Santa Monica, brought their children up here. He was on, I'll let him tell a little bit about his background, but I picked the most local, spectacular architectural firm I could to design this building, and I'm very pleased with what they've done. We'll show you some pictures, and gosh, just any questions at all, and if anybody wants to buy anything, that's okay. But any questions at all, and we'll be happy to answer them. So, Hank, I think I'll go ahead and introduce you, and then here's the funny mic, and then we do have a microphone. I heard him say for you when you ask questions, so we can get you on TV.
Oh, we'll pass this one around. Whatever.
We have two. We have
okay.
one for each.
Do we want to kill the lights a little bit because it's a bit bright? Yeah, it's a bit bright. So I'm just going to walk you through the project as it stands today. Mike mentioned the site in here, and it's a little building with parking at the front, which is the showroom sort of part, and the back's inventory. This actually shows not a lot of cars. If we go to another, what's the next photo? Oh, this one. If you look at the one at the top, you can see how many cars sometimes are parked in there as inventory, right? And I don't know if any of you live next to one of these parking lots. My studio is on 25th Street overlooking the Volkswagen dealership, and I know what it's like looking at that. There's a lot of glare coming off the cars, the windscreens. It's usually an asphalt lot, so there's a lot of heat coming off, quite a bit of dust, I hate to say it, Mike, but they do a pretty good job of keeping it clean, but it's not the greatest thing to live next to. And then, of course, there's lights that are shining down at night. It doesn't worry me because it's my studio, but it worries the people who are sleeping in the apartments. And here's the site. It's across the street from Busy Bee and the Mini Mart. And we're in this building, so it's across the street. And you go further down 16th Street, and of course it turns into a residential street with apartments. Next one. So this is the sort of siting strategy that we're looking at. We have a 2-story showroom, some office use in there above for their offices in the showroom. And then at the back we have parking. We take that parking and we make a structure. We hold it back from there into a landscape yard. We hold it back into a landscape front yard. And then under this whole thing is one level of subterranean parking, which is for inventory storage. So the way this works is you come in, The first level will be visitor parking. The upper deck will be employee parking, and downstairs will be inventory. And one of the things we're looking at is doing a little bit more height in that basement so we can use car stackers so that you can expand the inventory storage. So instead of going to another site and getting the cars and driving them here, they're on site. So we're going to be reducing trips, going back and forth for the inventory. Let's have a look at some of the plans. Now, as Mike said, the land use and circulation element specifically addressed auto dealerships. If we go to the next one. So the LU said allow for expansion and improved performance of auto dealerships because they do contribute a lot to sales tax dollars to the city. So there's a big benefit. The other thing, if you don't have them here and then you want to buy a Prius and you drive somewhere else, you're generating a trip and driving further. So that's not a good thing either. And then they had a whole bunch of things to make them work better in an urban environment, right? So to have the storage in above grade or subterranean structures, for instance, to have them adjacent to the sidewalk so that it's not a big parking lot with the flags blowing in the wind. That's a more suburban model. So the LUCE addressed that. And then on February the 12th of this year, the city looked at prioritising certain projects. They've got a lot of applications in, and they unanimously prioritised projects that produce a high ratio of new revenue through sales and other taxes with minimal traffic impacts during the AM peak hour periods, and that includes auto dealerships. Now, under the way the city's working, they've got this tier system, right? So the idea is a tier 1 project normally would not need to go through this sort of permit application or development agreement. The reason we're doing this is because the new zoning code hasn't been written. And because of that, we are going through a development agreement process. So normally we wouldn't do that. We'd be going through what they call a development review process. It would still go to Planning Commission. We'd still probably do the community meeting. But I know there's a lot of concern in the city about all these tier 3 projects. We are only a tier 1 project because we're over 7,500 square feet. This is about 40,000 square feet. So really it might seem like because we're going through a development agreement that it's somehow a big project. It's a big project in Mike's mind because it's expensive, but it's actually not really. The majority of the inside space, if we go to the next shot, in here is actually display for vehicles, right? So instead of that little building on the site and having cars outside, we've got cars inside. And so although it's a big, it seems big, 40,000, I mean, by the time you put the cars in there, it's not a lot of cars to look at. We also have some upstairs. So this is Santa Monica Boulevard, 16th Street. What we want to do is widen the sidewalk, pull this back. This is part of loose policy again. Do the same thing on 16th Street. We've got the showroom in the front. As I said, the parking coming in the back for visitors come in. But we want to address the front and the back. How do you do that? This is the old conflict you have is, the parking's at the back and the front entrance is at the front. So what we've introduced is this sort of walkway running down the side that people can come in here, walk up the handicap ramp, into an entry, so we connect the front and the back. So to rationalise how that works, okay? Obviously, here's bathrooms, all those sort of facilities, but also a loading area. And this is the alley. So across the alley from us is your pre-owned lot. And then there's a number of residential buildings. So the idea is we're going to keep the trash and the loading area up on the north opposite the commercial uses rather than the residential. And as I mentioned on the back, we've got a 10-foot yard on the side. That will be heavily landscaped, and they've got their 5-foot yard on that existing apartment building that's over here. So instead of looking at it, that parking lot, they're going to be looking at a landscaped yard, okay, which is twice the size of their current own side yard. Okay, next floor. Is that what they... Oh, this is the subterranean parking. It's pretty boring, but we can accommodate 119 cars for their inventory. And with stackers, using stackers, we can double that, okay? Which is a good thing because we're not driving around, as I said. Next. Top floor, various offices, they do training rooms. I mean, that's a room like this, and Mike opens it up for community purposes and various functions. So that's the intent up here, lunchroom, and then a bunch of offices. And then there's a rooftop parking. Now that parking would have a 6-foot-high parapet wall around it so that the noise doesn't impact the neighbours. Next one. And then on top of that, we're proposing to do a photovoltaic canopy over the top of it. And this does two things. One, obviously it generates electricity, but it also shades that parking so that we're not getting all that glare from the sun on the cars. And it also does some shading to windows that we have in the building. So we're trying to make that work hard to do a lot of things, but the other aspect of that is it's very visible so people can see, oh, they've got solar panels. They look fantastic. This is obviously a green building. On top of the roof, you'll see in here we have a whole bunch of skylights. Mike did a fantastic job on his Audi store. I drove past, and he's got very transparent glass in it because that's what you want. You want people to drive down the street and see the merchandise. What we've found is the best way of getting that is to put skylights in there so the light level inside approximates the light level outside. It makes the glass more transparent, but it also means he doesn't have to have the lights on during the day, which will really assist in getting that green LEED gold standard. Next. This is looking at the front of the building. So what we've got in here, very glassy cars inside, and this is that sort of connecting walkway that also allows us to have a few vehicles along there so you know that's the entry to the building. It has a little pop-up at the front just to signal that this is the corner, and then above the skylights, but you know, you won't see those from the street. That's above on the roof. And obviously the red is because that's the Toyota. Their standard. They have to have a palette of colours. We sort of have to adopt those. Next. That's the front. This is the back. As I said, it'll be a green wall. We're looking at one of those wonderful lush green walls. We just did one in Beverly Hills, and it's sort of got different species of plants that it creates a nice pattern. I didn't mention that along the street on 6th Street. Go to the next one, Nathan. 16th Street, there's a number of driveways that exist today. We'll be closing those off because we'll just have the one here, and we can introduce a couple more street trees, and we can introduce a couple more street parking spaces on there. So that's a little bonus. For that, you can see this is the entrance to the parking. We have our photovoltaic panels, and then what we're doing on the top, we have a bunch of shade fins so that the windows above are sort of oriented towards Santa Monica Boulevard rather than facing directly out, because across the street for the first lot here is a residential apartment building and a vacant lot. So we're sort of doing that to focus more to Santa Monica Boulevard. This is the view from the alley, loading dock, trash bins, and again we've got the green wall extending at the back. And then there's a little bit of glass here, so as you drive down the street you can see where the alley is. You can see into the display, the vehicle display. Next. And so this is a section cut. You can see the relationship here. This is the very south end. Santa Monica Boulevard's at that end. This is the apartment building next door. And so you can see the parking at the top. We've got quite a high wall to control noise. We're going to focus the lights, keep them below that level so you don't see them, and then it's got the photovoltaics above. And then at the front it's a 2-story high space. And again, because we have a lot of glass, I don't know if you've got windows facing that direction, there's a lot of heat. We have sunshades in there so that they don't have to close sunshades and people won't see the display. That's what this is representing here. And then we've got our skylights to bring in the north light. Okay, next. And this is just the section cuts in the other direction, 16th Street, where we're adding the street trees. We have the alley. The way the circulation is working in here is, we're coming in off 16th Street, and the city will require them to do a test drive route plan that they have to file with the city. That will be coming out and driving up to Santa Monica Boulevard. And we have, as I mentioned, trash and loading coming in off the alley side, because that's where the pickup is, of course. Okay. And then here you can see the sort of idea of using some stackers so that we can add more inventory space in here. And that can be done initially, or it can be done over time as needs be. Okay. Next. And this is a section cut through that. You can sort of see the layering, the two-story volume at the front, and then going back to the parking. We do have a lot of glass around this. We want people obviously to see the display, but at the same time we want people in there seeing what's happening in the street, that everything is cool in the street, nobody's being antisocial. We will have, believe it or not, we will have bike parking. See Jerry. So we're going to incorporate bike parking at the front. Not an unreasonable thing. People could ride there on their bike to check out the newest plug-in Prius. We will have employee bike parking and showers so that employees can come here. I know some of your employees, well, no, at least one of them loves to go down to the beach, go down there and said, it'd be great to have a shower here because I can go down in the morning, catch a few waves, have a shower here. So he'll use it as well, but also for bicycle employees who may wish to ride their bike. And, with Expo coming, it's possible that they could take Expo and ride up from there. This is not super close, but it's not that far either. So, okay, next. And this is a view of the corner there, and you can see all these happy people walking to buy their new Prius. We have also at the very front of our building is a bus stop. So there's another benefit. This is a great location for people to be able to use other than cars to get here. There is no service facilities here. They're all going to remain. So you're not going to have those queues of cars. There is no sales for parts. So the display will be vehicles. There will be accessories displayed, just like you see in here, but no servicing. In the basement, there will be a little bit of a car washing area just to prep the cars before people pick them up, but that's contained in the basement. Okay. And, there's a close-up view, moving slowly. You're allowed to take dogs there too, as long as you pick up after them. Okay. Just a few shots at the front. You can see these are the sunshades, but the intent here is to have a very transparent facility. And as I said, the sidewalk will be widened. Not depicted in here is the bike parking in the front, but the city has a new bike action plan that has quite a few bike parking spaces required for employees and short-term. Next. In terms of the schedule, we submitted an application for the development agreement, where in here they're just beginning the EIR process. They're going to do an EIR on this. It will be going to Planning Commission and City Council for float up. This is a little in flux. The city's still sort of flushing out their process, but once we get the EIR done, we will then be going to the Planning Commission and City Council for our development agreement review and approval, and then moving through design development, architectural review board, construction documents, permits and construction. And in that mix here, in this one, we've got to do a review with Toyota. They have to bless that as well. And this is a little bit of a different thing for them because the normal Toyota standard is a very suburban model. They have cars in the front and they have this big portal thing, which doesn't really fit so well in what Santa Monica's trying to do. And this is where Mike's so good, because he knows how to do it right, and they trust him because he did such a great job on this facility. Next. That's it. But now it's time for you. Questions, comments, anything. But I do have to give you the microphone. Oh, okay. Well, you get your own microphone.
It's
We're
not clear.
Tier 1.
You're Tier 1.
We're Tier 1. We
Wow.
are 32 feet high.
Okay.
And then what we have this element at the front,
Mm-hmm.
which we're using as the staircase that goes to the roof to
Okay.
get to the mechanical equipment. We're putting that as far away from the residential users, so that's the best corner. So we're using that. So this is our 32-foot height, and then the code allows some height things like skylights and mechanical equipment. So we're keeping it to 32 feet, and I forget exactly the FAR, but we're in that FAR category for Tier 1.
Okay. So it's only because you're over 7,500 feet, is
Yes,
that right?
we're over 7,500
Okay.
square feet, yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
because that's one of the things, I'm in one of the neighborhood groups, and we had asked the city
Yeah.
at these community meetings to say, be clear on
Oh.
what's the standard and where are you different from
Right,
it.
right. So we're-
Particularly because we're in an interim and it's sort of fungible at the moment.
Yes, yeah, but we are 32,
Okay,
I think it's very faintly written over.
thank you.
there,
Oh,
That top part, the top part will be higher than
but
32
This
feet.
part's higher. This
How high
contains,
is that?
what- Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay,
So
So that's
the
40
city code, just to answer your question, allows for 12 to 14 feet above the height limit for penthouse to the roof for the stair. And as Hank said, it's for mechanical equipment access to maintain the solar panels and to get to the roof.
So
So
is-
at 12 feet above 32, you're at 42 feet. Just,
so is that just in that one corner, or is that go all the
Yes,
way across?
here.
It's just in a corner, okay.
Yeah, that's in the one corner. See, it's just in the very front street commercial corner, so we kept it away from the residential over there. I don't, go to the plan, if you, roof plan, maybe that will clarify it. So it's that bit,
Okay.
that's the bit there. I need someone taller.
One of the things I tried to do when I sketched the building was I've been awfully involved with the city now for years, and if the FAR was this, I tried to be just under. If the square footage was there, I tried to be just under. If the easement from the back apartment was X amount of feet, we went a little bit greater. If the bushes were supposed to be so high, I went 5 feet more than that. So, tried to be smart going in so that there was no obvious concerns. But
The city sent a letter to all auto dealerships that they were not to have the trucks unloading the cars on our residential streets. It still continues. Last week, I photographed 2 on 9th Street, right outside of your property. On Sunday afternoon even, up near Colorado Place, they were unloading cars. It was either 15th or 16th Street that I was walking on this week, and I don't bother calling the city because I know they won't even bother with it. So I would like to know, where is the truck going to drop off the cars? That's one question. The other question is, you have a large inventory around town, like parking at 1215 7th Street. You're up on the roof there. I don't know how many cars you have there. So I would like to know now, how many cars do you have spread out throughout town? And is this going to be adequate, or are you going to still need to spread your cars out around town using public parking lots, which we could be using as residents?
well, yes, we're still going to be using parking lots. Most of them are private, they're not public. We don't have anything like the 3rd Street Promenade.
No, but I mean that parking could be used for public parking in our neighborhood. If your cars weren't there, people could be parking there and going to their dentist on 7th Street.
That could happen. It historically hasn't. Like, we're at the Water Garden, we're at Yahoo, we're in those big underground parking lots. There's a pretty heavy, for a developer, like those big commercial projects, there's a lot of parking underneath, and that's typically where we are. I don't think we compete with the public for these spaces. They're pretty expensive, and I don't think that we compete. We're not in any public lots, certainly. We're in private areas like those. We're going to unload on the street, on 16th Street. The city was trying to come up with the city was hoping to come up with a plan to have us unload somewhere else. And anybody else in the room can answer this too. I think it went away.
It didn't go away
well,
for the residents.
there is currently no plan to do there's no plan to do it anywhere. So when I say it went away, they said, well, don't do it there. And then we said, well, great. Where would you like us to unload them? And that's when I say it went away, the conversation sort of stopped at that point for us. They had no plan for where we would in fact go. It just candidly went away. I'm trying to I hear all the questions. Did I get?
I think those were the two that I asked. How many?
Oh,
so
we probably have
this
400
is
cars in stock, 400 cars in stock. So we'll be able to do, right now we have a one-car showroom, and they're scattered all about town. So I think I'll have probably half my inventory on site. That would be my goal. Much better for me, much better as a neighbor.
Okay, and what about your property that you have now? Will you still be parking inventory cars there?
Well, the Lincoln Boulevard property would be still parts and service. So we'll be able to expand now and let people, I mean, we have people that can't get on the property, so it's not good for parts and service. So we'll be able to expand that. We'll be able to redistribute the property at Lincoln to properly handle parts and service customers. Sure, the other half of the inventory will still be in lots like we have today. It's the best ones for us are like Water Garden, Yahoo, Google, who else? Some of those big names. But the property immediately to my north, what's the address there? That building that's never had anybody in it. There's a property immediately north on Lincoln of ours, and it's kind of never rented. So we've got cars in there, 2 stories down. So, but
Oh, you
about
mean
half.
the gray building?
That funny gray building. I don't know what to call it. It's never been. It's been vacant for 5 years.
5 years. Yeah. Okay. What type of wall is going to be between the residents and a soundproof wall? Because you have that little grass area. It looks like you have a wall and then the grass area, and then what's between the next to the residents?
The wall around the parking will be a concrete or concrete block, so it'll be a masonry wall going up, as I said, 6 feet up. The building walls along the alley probably be also concrete block, because the trucks sometimes, make mistakes. And then the exterior walls will be a aluminum panel. That's part of the design standards for Toyota.
Okay, so will there be any lights or shadow problems on the apartment building next door?
No, because all the walls in the back, this is a concrete wall that we're going to do one of these green wall systems over it, so that's not going to be a problem. This stuff we're going to paint the dark red so it's not reflective, and the aluminum panel material that we use is a grey, and that will be on the commercial side on Wilshire Boulevard and the first portion of 26th Street.
Okay. Another question we've had over the years is 16th Street and Santa Monica Boulevard. It's a very dangerous boulevard, especially since with the hospital there now, and we have asked the city numerous times to put in a stoplight at that location, so it's just not people crossing the street. I think now, don't they have those flashing lights?
Yeah, I think they do have a smart crosswalk. But
I don't think it's 16.
no?
It's at 15th?
15?
Right, but now that the hospital opening used to be on 15th Street, and now the hospital opening is on 16th Street. So people I know would like to bring up again putting a traffic light on that corner. So will you be doing an ERR? Will the traffic?
We are doing an environmental impact report. We'll be looking at those. That would be up to the city, but there is a traffic light at 17th. I don't know if they would be receptive to doing something at 16th.
Oh,
I
maybe,
don't know.
yeah, okay.
That would be my understanding, is that they won't do them that close together.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to do it.
Right.
You could stop and look at our showroom. We'd be happy to do it. I don't think they'll let us, and it's a problem. I mean, we at Toyota Santa Monica now, we've had 2 people hit in a blinking crosswalk. Ugly stories. So 2 employees. So but we would be happy to do a light. I don't think I'll be able to. They don't want them every block for obvious reasons. It was just curtail traffic more than ever. So I don't think so, but we certainly would be an advocate.
Okay. And the residential properties, right now are they an A lot? What is known as an A lot? Or is it like you're being grandfathered in?
Those are R lots, they're not A lots, and there is an interim ordinance that they have to allow structures like this so you can build a park. We can only build parking back there. We can't have the commercial uses. We can put the parking in an enclosed structure. So that's what we're utilising that so that we can provide the parking and not have all the negative impacts of a surface parking lot.
So how many residential units will be left on that block?
We're not removing any residential units.
There were residential units there probably at one time.
Maybe I wasn't around then.
Yeah.
That could be, but that would be, yeah, 30 years ago or more.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Lincoln Mercury was there before Nissan.
Yeah.
60 years ago, perhaps, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Now, bear in mind, I mean, the city is talking about doing a commercial affordable housing linkage fee, so that in some way mitigates some of that. I think that's something that probably will be impacting this project, but
Yeah,
that's in flux.
Because my concern is on the other side of Santa Monica Boulevard, all of the residential housing has been taken off of 16th Street.
By the hospital.
By the hospital
Yes.
and by the car dealership on the corners. So I'm just concerned that is going to be happening all along Santa Monica Boulevard.
The rules are that you can only do that if you are an existing dealership using those lots for parking. You can't buy an apartment building. Mike could not buy the next apartment building, tear it down and put parking on it. That would not be possible. It's only allowed for auto dealerships, so and current uses of it as parking. So there would be none of that. The hospital, they're under their own rules. And if you're standing at the corner and looking at the parking lot of the hospital, that's not what we're doing. You can see the cars up there, you can see the lights. We're not doing that. We're doing it properly.
And just one on that, so from this building you go to Busy Bee Hardware, and then there was the Nissan showroom. That's now owned by the hospital, so that car dealership is gone. Across the street, it was a little part of a used car lot for the Nissan. That's the hospital property. So it'll be us, Busy Bee, and then hospital on both sides of the north side of 16th. So north of Santa Monica on 16th, there'll be hospital. No car.
And that's probably medical office, do we know?
No one seems to know. That's
Oh, okay. All right, it's a secret. Okay, we have a question. Yes. Hang on.
Well, it's for the city.
Yeah. I mean, this doesn't do anything in this room.
All right,
It's
fine,
weird.
thank you. On one of the original, the beginning slides, if you can go back, there was an indication of 3 vacant residential apartment buildings. Right down here.
Oh,
right,
I
yes,
don't know why it
vacant
says
residential
vacant.
lots. What are those?
No, they're not.
One is vacant.
Oh, they shouldn't be listed as vacant. Yeah.
But isn't one of
No.
like around here?
There's a vacant lot next to the 7-Eleven, right?
All right.
That I think somebody copied the note. They're not vacant. They're occupied, as is the building adjacent, and there's one vacant lot.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know. Thank you.
So sorry if you already answered this, because I came in a second late. But I was wondering how much electricity will be generated by the solar panels? Sorry.
We did not answer. We did answer that. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Too late.
Oh, never mind then.
We did not.
We.
The short answer is we don't know.
Oh, okay.
We looked at a number of different ways that we could use it. We're looking into a number of ways that we could utilize the solar panels for other like recharging cars or all sorts of ways to think about how to use the solar panels. We just don't know right now. It's too early.
Okay. That's a great answer.
It depends if they leave the lights on.
This design looks really modern. I'm wondering, and it is quite striking, I'm wondering if you have any, whatever you call it in the architectural world, mock-ups, drawings to show how it fits into the streetscape in general. This looks,
We will be doing
frankly,
that.
incredibly
Right.
out of place with what else is on Santa Monica. And granted, everything else on Santa Monica may be old, but this looks like a lot of glass. Glare, actually, that's an interesting question. I guess you're put the baffles in to keep the glare down.
Well, we're doing that to shade from the north sun. You know, that north sun from that, it's actually
Northwest, right?
really.
Okay.
Yeah. So that sun, you know, I have windows like that, and the sun comes in, and you can't work on a computer because the sun's too bright. So we have the screens, but we want to maintain the transparency through the glass. So that's why we have that. Yes, it is modern. Toyota's a modern company. Prius is a modern cars. We want that to express the sort of the modern environmental agenda. That's what this is about. This is about being green. We want to show people that, yes, you need that. That's an important criteria for Toyota and for Mike. And it should be, our feeling is it should be expressed in the architecture. So yes, it's modern because it's a modern facility.
And when you do a LEED certified building, if you've studied it a little bit, you know, you have to, of course, you want to use natural light, not light, you know, you want to use natural cooling. So a lot of those things, that the skylights are for the natural cooling, the glass is for the natural light, the proximity to the sun. We've tried to, you know, we've built it. It's a real project to build a gold LEED certified property. So but you do end up working around some of the stuff then to fix it, because with all the glass you have to have some shades. But so a lot of the design really came from being LEED, a lack of dependence on electricity for lights and air conditioning specifically. So.
Also, we're at the beginning of a process, as you saw. We're going to have to go to Planning Commission, City Council, and then Architectural Review Board. This will get kicked around a bit. People will comment, just like everyone here is, and that will be taken into account. And then we will have to respond to those concerns and get their approval and blessing as well.
But have you at this point set it in the environment of Santa Monica Boulevard to see what it will look like with it? I mean, it can't
yes.
compare with Busy Bee hardware. I understand.
No,
but
there's Busy Bee hardware, and you've got on the next side a little shack.
It looks
Yeah.
really big, and I
well,
grant that it's only 2 stories.
I know.
but
I said when I walked in the room, can we make the projector a bit smaller?
Right.
'Cause it looks so big. But you know, this is a person, and so there are some other buildings like the one that has is it the Masonic Temple in there? You know, that building's quite tall. So what we will have to do is exactly what you're saying. We're going to have a streetscape, and I think you live near on 18th.
I live on 18th.
Right. So I know there was a project proposed there with housing at one time.
1802, right?
Yeah. So and then you've got the Honda dealership, which is taller than this.
Really?
Yep.
Quite a bit.
Yep.
It is?
Yep. So we will have that to give you some context.
It just appears really big.
Oh, it's that projector up there.
Projector down.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. And even a bit further down, there's the little building, the liquor store building that has housing. What's above that? I can't remember. But you know, so those things are about the same kind of height as this building. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to hog the microphone, but I was wondering, you had said you were going to shift some stuff around, so the dealership on Lincoln, are you going to remodel that?
That's a question for Mike, what you're doing with the dealership on Lincoln.
We'll do not much. It'll be mostly redistributing taking new cars off of there. There's not a lot there now, but taking that little showroom down in the front, taking the new cars out of there and all the salespeople out of there, and trying to expand service and the service drive and make the flow of that. But candidly, it's small for a service department. So now we're running the whole dealership out of there. So at least we'll get sales out, so we can allow that to be parts and service only.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, one more question.
It's a tough, and I'm trying. I wish I had a really cool redesign for that. But while you're there, it's impossible to remodel it and rebuild it. So I can't close, and so we'll be redoing that facility to make it a much more efficient service only.
Okay, so my last question was, will the EIR study the landscaping? Are you going to figure out what kind of plants? Will that be a part of it?
Well, the environmental impact report tends to look at bigger ticket items like traffic. It does look at aesthetics, but more for the point of view of if it's got reflective materials that are a problem. It's going to look at hydrology and water. We're looking at actually here on doing some rainwater harvesting to use for the irrigation. The landscaping, the actual species, that would be more in the architectural review board. They look at that stuff and approve that. Okay?
City mandates, so pretty much what we do for trees, we'll do as much xeriscape as possible. We do things like right now, and it doesn't water the whole place, but we take the sweat off of air conditioners and run it into the plants. And I like that stuff. I do that at my house, and I also do that at my Audi store, and that'll absolutely be designed in here. It's some pretty old technology. Not even technology. It's a pretty old way to do it, but it's kind of cool. So we'll certainly go out of our way, and we'll be dictated. I forget what these are. They're not ficus, but you remember? Street trees.
Street trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was on the computer, it said street tree. But they'll dictate what would. I couldn't put palm trees there, for instance.
Greg.
Just a couple of questions, but hours of operation. This street may, in many aspects, close down at a certain time, but busy streets like Santa Monica Boulevard, like Wilshire, have a nightlife as well. How late will you be staying open to sell cars? I know I've been at dealerships for late hours, trying to negotiate my way to a price that made sense.
We're hopefully late. We're open typically till our posted hours in the evening are for consumers are 9 o'clock, but they don't come. They come when they want to come. But sales is typically done by 10 o'clock at night. We don't. We start at 8:30. We close earlier on Sunday nights. I think we close at 6 and 7, depending on which store it is. So, not into the evening, but kind of that would be kind of typical car retail hours in LA Metro.
Okay, and then my experience in buying a Toyota is after you've decided you want to buy it, then we get talking about putting some layer on to prevent rust or some other kind of thing, meaning that the car is possibly right there, but something has to be done with it. Is it going to be done there? Does it move from there to another location to be done? If so, is that the Toyota store on service shop on Lincoln? What happens? What's the process?
Only minor things would be done here. There'll be a car wash here downstairs, so the cars will be they'll go into the garage clean, and there'll be a car wash that's sufficient. It's not much of a car wash. It's fairly limited, but it'll be enough to get to do a final delivery kind of wash out of there. So in half the situations, we should be able to deliver a car and bring it right up out of the hole in the ground and wash it on the property. Tinted windows, radio changes, things like that could be done here. If it needed wheels changed or something like that, we'd go back to Lincoln.
Okay. And you mentioned something like a community room upstairs. I did not understand.
Yeah, we have.
what that
Well,
was
it's one of the
about.
things we do here. We have a lot of parties here. We have. I'm really proud of what we do out of this facility. We'll have anywhere between 300 and 1,200 people here at night, and I do it about once a month. And we have just great charities that I work with that come and we loan them the facility to the valet parking. So we'll continue to do that across the street too. It's just something I like to do. So it's we try to loan out rooms like this so that, and we have a kitchen attached to it through the porthole there, and it's one of those things I can actually give back to the neighborhood on. So we're really glad to do it. But if you drive by, I wonder if this is legal. If you drive by sometimes at night, we'll have a charity function here later than our sales hours are.
So you get permits.
Someone could complain about it,
you
but get
permits.
damn it, it's a pretty nice thing. So it's a good thing to do. But yeah, we loan out the whole place on occasions, and certainly rooms like this as often as possible.
Okay. And just one more question, and that had to do, again, with the unloading of cars, because I don't understand this entirely. In fact, I was surprised to hear that you're still at Yahoo, because when I talked to the people at Equity, I thought they'd cleared out their entire parking lot of anything to do with dealerships. You're saying that's not so. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That you are parking there.
I don't know for Yahoo. I apologize. I don't run any of the stores personally, but we had been at Yahoo, Google, Water Gardens, those kinds of places is our most common. I don't know if we're at Yahoo today, so I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't.
Okay.
I didn't mean to say that literally.
I'm just trying to understand.
But that's the kind of places we go because we can put 100 and 200 cars underground. So
Right.
those are what we like to do. You had another question there. I'm sorry.
It's the unloading. And
Unloading.
that's where you've got, I assume, big trucks and you're unloading them from a truck. Is that the only way to get a car to your place? Or could you be unloading in another location and just drive the car?
By somebody else's
cars,
neighborhood.
Cars, do drive. Yeah.
That was a lot of the proposals. Put it in that neighborhood.
Well, no, I don't mean that, but...
Yeah, hell
No,
yeah.
no, I don't mean that either, but I mean maybe there are locations where unloading is more efficacious and not so difficult on the neighborhood as it might be here. And so I didn't know what the city was thinking, and obviously we mid-city neighbors want to be talking about to the city about what are you thinking about this? What is this
Sure.
plan you seem to drop? But if you could unload somewhere else, you could just drive it here, right? That's like not forbidden to drive a car.
There's a lot of,
Yeah.
but there's problems with that. So
that's what I
A,
wondered.
it would be in somebody else's neighborhood. B, you'd create trips driving cars back and forth.
Understood.
Yeah, I'm just stating the obvious. So it creates a different problem someplace else. The airport the airport has been bantered about my whole life. Closing the airport, what we're going to do with it if we did close it, and I don't think it's going to get closed personally, but if it did, there could be a lot of development that could go there. You could take the cars right there for all of us and have some sort of center there. Now, the problem is if you came in as a consumer and I went, okay, can you just stand here for 40 minutes? I'm going to run down to the airport and get that blue one for you. Another problem. So she probably wouldn't stand there. So it's certain, to some degree, the proximity of the product has to be where the retail environment is going on, in clothes and fruit and whatever. So it's an absolute idea. We've looked at it. We've proposed it. And I've gotten shot down for 25 years. So it's a good idea. And it's one of the only big areas that you could think of. So,
Thank you.
Could they drive onto your property on Lincoln? I mean, when you redevelop Lincoln property, could you make an area there where these trucks could?
I think Lincoln would be worse. I don't think. Sorry. Maybe ask the question again, please.
Yes, I'm sorry. Could you, when you redevelop your property on Lincoln, could you make a driveway for these large trucks to come in and drop the cars off on your own property, rather than parking them double on 9th Street?
Well, with the traffic on Lincoln and with the train at Colorado and Olympic, I think Lincoln is going to be a disaster. Personal opinion. Going from the freeway to Montana is going to be a disaster. To think that we've never had car haulers is what we call those ones they hold 9 cars. We've never had car haulers on Lincoln. We unload them on 9th. We unload them across the street on 9th. So I would think Lincoln would not even be a consideration. It's too fast when it's moving, and it's not, so I think Lincoln would be a horrible idea. So 9th would just be somebody else's problem versus someone on 16th. So I don't think that's a real solution. It's an idea, but I wouldn't consider that a solution. It would just irritate someone else.
Can I just clarify, you are now unloading cars for service on 9th Street for your that are serviced at your Lincoln? Huh?
Sales. We unload new cars on 9th Street that become my new car inventory. Toyota ships them, and we unload them on 9th Street, and they become my inventory. Lincoln is only service. Service customers, you all.
Are car haulers unloading cars for service somewhere that are
Car
serviced?
haulers don't typically, I've never heard of a car hauler unloading us. Your car wouldn't be on a car hauler for service. You know, that's for a consumer one at a time, comes in on Lincoln. Car haulers are what the factories send new cars in 9 at a time, and we unload them somewhere. But service cars don't come in on car haulers.
Okay.
That's a delivery. That's a delivery of
it's a
new
tow
cars.
truck.
Sorry, I didn't mean to not
Okay.
say it clearly.
No. That I'm questioning because I live next to the Honda dealer on 18th, and we have car haulers all the time, and I'm after them all the time to unload on Broadway or at least up to the corner so that they're not in front of my house.
Right. The only thing I was saying was that those aren't
but
service customers.
Those are new car.
New cars.
Oh, okay.
And it could be
I
used
thought
cars.
some of them were service.
If we buy a bulk load of used cars, but they're not. I just wanted to answer it correctly. It's not a service customer, and it wouldn't be that Lincoln facility at all. Ninth. Sorry, your question was where are cars unloaded for my current facility, and the answer is on 9th Street. No, it's good, and hopefully somebody's watching this, and we're answering questions that you wanted to answer.
Question over here.
Hi, I came in a little bit late, and so I'm not sure if this was already covered, but I know there's the bus stop that's right there at that corner. And I was wondering if there's any opportunity to improve that area, either with, I don't know if another tree is coming in or something that could do shade for that bus stop, what the sidewalk situation is going to be.
Right. We are widening the sidewalk about 4 feet.
Okay.
In here, and then we're going to introduce bike racks. These are existing street trees, and the bus stop is here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't add a street tree here because the bus stop's there. And the city's redoing all their bus stops to have shade, canopies, and an interactive display and all that stuff. And I think, this will be eventually changed to one of those. I'm not sure when the city's implementing those. But we do have this, we call it the front porch. It's a walkway that's covered that extends from the front to the back, because our parking's at the back, but we have our front entrance, we have our front side, so that's a way of connecting it. So that would provide more shelter if needed.
For the bus stop.
For the bus stop, if people wanted to. They just have to be mindful when the bus comes.
Yeah.
That way. But, they can see that on their iPhone.
All right. Thank you.
And we are going to have. I don't know how much it'll catch on, but we are going to be pushing bike and ride sharing. My daughter Megan is on the board at Sustainable Works, and one of her projects has been to help bring bike sharing to Santa Monica. One of the things we're going to do at the Lincoln facility, at Toyota Santa Monica currently, is have loaner bicycles instead of loaner cars. And I think I'm the largest hybrid dealer in the world. This is my world, is taking people into a different kind of transportation. So there's a big insurance problem on bicycles. So I've currently negotiated to buy trikes. They're pretty cool. They've got a basket on it. You could go to 3rd Street, go shopping. Thanks. Whatever. You could go to 3rd Street and then promenade and for an hour and a half and kill an hour and a half on a trike and come back. So we like things like that. We're trying to do things like that. It's
One other related question on that, talking about the bikes. For employee bike parking, how is that incorporated in the facility?
So the question on employees and bike,
Yeah.
again, we'll be really encouraging this, and it's good. We don't get lots of them. Salespeople, it's hard. It's harder for sales, easier for technicians. But we'll have showers downstairs and a separate bike rack for them. So if they come in,
So their bike rack is not where.
No,
it's
it'll be
not
down in the
outside,
hole,
It's inside.
down where the 100 cars are, and there'll be a shower down there so they can get cleaned up to and from. So hopefully that'll help facilitate this.
Great.
You probably missed, I think, the early bit, but we do have visitor parking. Mm-hmm. That in the back will also have some short-term bike parking, and we have some at the very front. And as Mike said, we have the employee with the showers in the basement.
I just don't want to I don't want to exaggerate it. It's a wonderful idea, and we're pushing it. It has not been an answer yet, I would say.
Articulately, I think, but I'll try. As long as you're building a new project, and you mentioned rainwater capture, does that mean that the water is not going to run off into the street and you're going to capture it and put it underground? Like they're doing it up at the beach house, I know.
Right. The city has a requirement, and Leeds has a requirement. We have to capture the first 3/4 of an inch of rain and stop that from going into the storm sewer. So we have to do that. There's different ways of doing it. One is to capture on site and let it percolate in the soil. We can do that. The other one is you can capture it and use it for uses. And so the library, for instance, has it use it for irrigation. Okay, so we're thinking we might use it for some of the irrigation, particularly that vertical wall of greenery we have, and we can use it for that. The problem with irrigation, of course, is it rains for 3 months and then it's dry for 9 months, and you end up running out of water. So we're going to study to see what's the most effective way of doing it, but we like to use the rainwater for irrigation because it smells better.
Well, for those 3 months, it's valuable.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Any more? No?
Well, I do have a complaint that someone
Yep.
brought up. I'm sorry.
You're going to hand it for me for a complaint.
Your car washing facility at the Lincoln site
Yes.
is
Yes.
leaking the water out onto 9th Street. And the neighbors have complained about the way the car washing is being done there. So that was one complaint.
That's interesting because the car wash is on the alley between Lincoln and 9th. So the water, someone is saying it's getting across that 150-foot lot and onto 9th Street.
No, there's something along 9th Street in the back. There's some kind of shed that something's going on there. Yeah.
I'm not saying no, but I don't know. We wash cars over on the Lincoln facility, so I'd have to go down there and look and see it. But
Yeah,
to the best of my knowledge, I've never heard of a complaint about water coming out on 9th Street.
I saw the water leaking out after, and I walked by because it's all hidden by bushes, so I couldn't see it at first. And then I looked down on the ground, and the ground was wet.
Had we just washed cars or something?
I don't know what's back there. There's some kind of shed back there that's going on, and there was water leaking there. So I don't know. Apparently, the person who lives close by there thinks that there's, or maybe it is on the alley, but there was some water there.
I apologize. I don't know exactly how that would happen.
And the other complaint I have is when these trucks are sitting there loading and unloading cars, they're keeping their motors running.
Yeah, the diesels.
Which, especially when you live there or you're trying to walk on the block and getting out for your exercise, it's
I need
not
someone
pleasant.
to explain diesel engines. The realities of turning those engines off and on and what it produces to turn it off and on and the pollution that it puts out when you turn it off and on. It's like a light switch. When you first put it on, the big surge, turning those things off and on is when they're the most wasteful. Letting them run is more economical and believe it or not, more environmentally friendly. Now, it's not socially friendly probably, but yeah, those trucks run all the time. Yeah, I would agree. But I've tried for years to get them to turn them off and on, and they have a long 30-minute story of what I just said in 30 seconds about why they can't turn them off. So I won't pretend to defend that, but it seems to be those commercial diesel haulers.
So they could at least be efficient in getting the cars on and off so that they don't have to be there.
Yeah, she was asking about getting the cars on and off quickly. It's to their benefit too. They're hourly. They get paid like piecework. The quicker they do it, the better. Often we have to kind of tell them, go slow down just a little bit. Don't just dump them and leave. But there's no benefit for them staying longer than they need to. They can go get another load out of San Pedro and do it again. So, but I agree. The timeliness would be a huge issue. Okay. Oh, good. One more.
Greg, did you want to come up and... oh, hang on, we have a question here, so you can come up, but... Yes.
I own the building adjacent to the empty lot on 16th
Okay,
Street.
yes.
It's a 3-story building.
Mhm.
And I was wondering what kind of an impact the solar panels are going to have as far as reflection goes on to the tenants on the third...
You shouldn't see any reflections from them because the panels are going to be facing up. And so from where you are, you should be only seeing the underside of the panels, which are typically just white coloured. So you shouldn't be getting any reflection. It's not like it's on the vertical wall, say, on that building on 5th Street. You know, so you won't see that surface.
the panels fixed or they adjust themselves?
No, they're
automatically?
fixed in place.
Okay.
So if you go to that section, Nathan, I think, you know that cut section, I think that kind of would show it, no? You know the other one? Keep going. So what you're looking at here would be the underside of the panels. And so they're typically painted white underneath. And the actual sort of glassy surface that you see on those panels is on the top side. So you shouldn't get any reflection because it would reflect up to the sky. Okay.
Oh, the alarm systems on the cars.
Don't you hate them? Yeah. Alarm systems on the cars. Do you charge extra for those, Mark?
I better let you ask. Tell me the question. Tell me what the question is, please, about alarms.
I know there's some type of ordinance that the alarms on the new cars have to be turned off, and I don't know how much noise they would be making from if they're parked downstairs in the garage or if they're parked on the roof, or is that going to be a problem with the car alarms going off?
To the best of my knowledge, I haven't heard a complaint about car alarms in years. We used to have it a lot in the 70s and 80s, and I still see it like in city documents and stuff, but it doesn't seem to be. Everybody has one, every car comes with one, and people no longer are all baffled with how to turn it off and what to do. So it doesn't seem to be a problem, and I would certainly think in the hole in the ground it's going to be dramatically better than surface lots. I think it's going to be an improvement.
You may, a lot of people have the remote clickers, and so when an employee may go to get their car, you may hear that little chirp. Yeah. But that you get, but that's fairly quiet. It's not the burglar alarm kind of deal. And Greg, I'm going to.
I'm Greg Haycock. I'm with Santa Monica.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, thank you. There's the camera, too. Okay. I'm Greg Haycock with Santa Monica Mid-City Neighbors. And I'm passing this out. You're the last person, other than yourself.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Basically, we have been attending an awful lot of meetings. City planning meetings, the Planning Commission. We've been meeting with David Martin. We've been going to City Hall, to the City Council, and just following the entire process. And now that the process is changing so that rather than the city planners leading these kinds of meetings, the people who are making the changes or trying to announce to the public, one, all the sign-in sheets will be given to the city, and the city will give us a copy of it so that we will have information. But also, they've been welcoming us to pass out our information so that if you want the comments that you've made to be followed upon, as we will do, and want to be able to be in touch with how that happens and even participate in following up on what happens after this meeting, that's kind of our role among other roles that we have. So it's an interesting thing, and I have to say this has been probably one of the most open processes I've seen as far as presenting something to the public that was well prepared ahead of time. So I congratulate you on that. It's very satisfying to see this kind of openness in a meeting when otherwise there's a lot of hidden agendas or other things that you really have to explore to find out what's really going on. So that's not been the case here. But there are concerns that have been raised here, and there are some concerns that are even tangential to this, such as how the city is going to handle the unloading of cars.